Hi, my name is Diana Patton, and I help corporate women speak up, advocate for themselves using their authentic voice. This is something I have found is not happening in corporate America. Yet, a lot of us we want to be seen, heard, and valued for what we bring, for the way in which we approach things. And it's as if we have this like big veil, like this huge like veil, a mask that we've put between us and our work. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that that's what we were taught to do, right? You keep your personal life personal and your professional life here. But no one ever said it was a good thing to be a woman. It was so shameful to be a woman in corporate America. Am I right or am I right? I mean, that's how it was when I first started. I haven't seen a lot change. What I was taught when I started my first corporate job in 1988 as a legal assistant was do your work, go home. There was no room for me to be me. And I didn't even know who I was, right? And then not to say a woman, I mean, let's pause for a moment. I mean, we are women. And what I like to talk about is I am a woman. I am fully 100% feminine. And I love that about me. And I am not against anyone else who chooses not to be that gender. You want to be that gender. You don't choose a gender. Whatever that is, that's for you. But for here, we're talking about being a corporate woman with all the dynamics that we have within our bodies, within our mind, within our spirit, and the way in which we approach our work. We are unique. We flow. We have periods within ourselves that cause us to respond differently to life. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Say this with me. There's nothing wrong with that. Please, let's root out the shame that we have that we actually have periods. Oh my gosh. That in and of itself is a full stop message. We have periods, and that's okay. Right? And we approach our work, we were never ever taught by women how to go through our corporate experience like that, right? And so just that alone is something that I really want us to understand. Now, I'm not going to be spending all the time talking about periods, but I do want you to know that we're feminine. We have babies. We have children. Right? And because we were so there's a whole message about the fact that we wanted people to recognize that we have babies. Yet we were so shameful to even talk about that because we were taught not to, right? So because can you do your job? Is it effective? What are we going to do when you do have your kids? All these laws and policies and procedures had to change because we as women had to speak up about it and recognize the fact that that's what we are. Period. No pun intended, pun intended. Do you feel me? Yes. Okay. Then, and I'm not going to lie. Okay, let me tell you something. I am 56 years old. 56 years old. And I'm just now hearing women talking about menopause because there was so much shame tied to that experience and my work. Women, it is time for us to do a lot of work on ourselves, right? It is my job to teach you how to be you. My job is to educate you, give you things to think about on how you show up. Because if you're choosing to show up as someone that you're not, and then you say, I've heard this said a lot from my clients, I just decide to show up someone that I'm not. You're not going to get the full me. You're not going to get all of me because I'm just going to just disconnect for the 8 hours that I'm at job and then I'm going to go home. You are going to be so unhappy. You are not going to like that. Sure, it keeps you protected. It keeps you isolated, disconnected. But that's not how the mind and the body and the spirit work. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Your personality creates your personal reality. And what I know from a lot of women is we want people to accept us as our full selves. But you have to come to the space where you're willing to accept yourself as your full self. And you're not looking for outside circumstances to affirm that. Yes. Because what we're doing is we are saying this boss, this company, this procedure has power over me. So therefore, I don't have power, so I have to shrink down, come up, show up, fake, switch codes, be something I'm not. What I'm calling us to do is there's work for us to do to show up. Number one, get rid of the triggers. Get into a sense of awareness of yourself. I like to call this the path to power. We have to get on a path to power. So you need to become aware of yourself. You got to know, your full-time job is to become self-aware of you. This is the work. A lot of people are like, I'm tired. I don't even want, you probably say, I don't, you shut it off. Because a lot of us, this is what we got to do to be our full authentic self-awareness on the path to power. The second thing you have to work on is you got to practice this, sis. This is something where you have to practice. It doesn't come from just a seminar. It doesn't come from just watching a video. This is something that you have to work on daily. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you, is to practice, practice, practice. Get good at being yourself. Once you move from awareness to practice, then guess what? You have influence. Yep, you do have influence. That means that you'll start to change what's around you because nothing changes until you change, right? You change. You've got to be the change you want to be. Period. Full stop. So, I really believe awareness, practice creates influence. But before we can move to power, we got to understand that our character, our convictions, our values really support how we show up to get to that power. So as you're moving toward this awareness, practice, influence, character, how you are behind the scenes when no one's watching. Who are you behind the scenes when no one's watching? That's usually rooted in your values. And a lot of us, no one's ever told you to assess your values. When you combine awareness, practice, influence, and character, that's power. That's power. That's when you begin to change things. So that's the kind of stuff you're going to be hearing through this video series on how I show up to these videos. And if you're that corporate woman who's wanting to get a coach, a guide, someone that can help you through this process, you've come to the right place. This is what we're going to be doing. Showing up daily, getting you into this type of work. Are you with me? If you are, I want you to like and subscribe to this channel, to this work. And I promise you, I will over deliver. You know why? Because I keep thinking about my 19-year-old self. My 19-year-old self working as a legal assistant, having no one to really help me, guide me to speak up and advocate for myself. No one really guided me to help me understand who I am. Who is Diana? And no one really told me how important my childhood was to me, how that had an imprint on the way I show up. So I have spent the better part of 25 years really just learning, listening, understanding, going to conferences, watching videos. And I realized YouTube videos and a lot of things on TikTok, all the social media channels, I began to absorb educational content. And I decided I want to be that person that gives corporate women what they need. Through my experiences as a corporate executive myself, as a former civil rights attorney, that is what you're going to get here, sis. We're not playing. Like, subscribe, and I promise we'll get through this together. Okay? All right. See you next time.